Hey, welcome to the show. You're listening to the Roosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Juanita. She is a country artist, singer-songwriter who is based here out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Subscribe to the channel. Check it out. It's been fun just to like hang out and talk because I mean, you know, we'll see each other for all sorts of random shit, but it's so few and far between that you just get to sit down and like hang out with someone and be like, so like, how's life? So that's kind of nice, you know. Goddamn. Well,
so
now
how is life?
Yeah, how is life?
So are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling. We're good. We're good. That was the thing when we started doing
done
this.
Talking
like,
about chickens. Okay.
Well, I mean, we can talk about chicken. We can talk about whatever. That's the thing. I think Brian and I kind of get sick and tired of talking about music too. So it's like whatever you want to talk about. Like we're But we when we started doing this, there's like, it's funny because people, you know, spend all this time with a microphone in front of them, but then at the same time, I think people can get kind of like gun shy when you're like, okay, and the red light's on. Where it's like we just started just sort of talking and like, all right, we're good. You know, that's kind of the way to do it, just to sort of ease some people into it. Totally. You're a professional though, so you've got
this. Sneak it up on you.
Yeah, sneak it up on you. Exactly.
Professional podcaster.
Yeah. So you've been fucking okay. So in my head, you know, anyone who does music, it is a shit ton of work, right? If this is what you do, it is a crap ton of work. And you might be the busiest woman I know because I feel like you're just always like, what have you been doing recently? You've been just going for it.
Yeah, I have been going for it. So I released a record August of last year, which still feels new. I don't know. I keep still saying my new record, but I feel like maybe until I release another record, it's going to be my new record. Yeah. So I've been just trying to play shows, So that's mostly what I'm doing. I'm at home and or having like coffee dates with other musicians that also have to do booking themselves, you know. So
very nice.
I work on the computer and then I work on new songs at home. You know,
So the first record, if I remember correctly, the first record came out in 2021, right?
Yes.
So you've also been doing, since then, you've also been putting out a bunch of singles, sort of sporadically as time's gone on. What's been the mindset with that, with how you've decided to release material? Is there any kind of grand scheme, or has it just kind of been what has felt right as you've done it?
Yeah, I don't think that there was a grand scheme. I think that I did, after I released Hardliner, my first record, then we went in and did a studio session, kind of like a half studio session. I think we cut 4 songs, and I ended up releasing, one of those was Girl, Where You From?
Okay.
And yeah, I feel like, I think a lot about, you know, a lot of artists that have huge teams and, you know, have all this backing and all this support from the industry release records, and then they just have like all these singles just kind of always rolling out, or all these collaborations or all these things, you know. So there is that pressure to feels like that you need to keep releasing. And so maybe that was part of it. Like I was like, I want something to release and I have this song that I like, you know. And I had made a video for that song with Western AF. So I thought that would be, you know, that's going to come out on there. So then I could also release my own version, you know. So that was kind of like thinking, you know. But no, I'm totally just like winging everything as I go, and I don't know, you know.
That's probably
there's
the way to
not
go.
like a huge strategic plan here, except for just make good music, write good songs, and get good recordings and put them out, you know.
That's probably a worthy plan.
Yeah,
what
some of those songs never came out actually,
really?
From that recording session.
Okay, you just kind of shelved them.
Yeah, but I think that I'm going to release them now. There's a couple songs that I'm considering releasing sometime very soon.
Oh, nice.
So,
That's exciting.
Yeah.
How did the Western AF thing happen? Because you've had a pretty involved relationship with them, it seems like. You've done quite a few things. How did all that transpire?
I don't even know. I think that Mike just reached out to me, Mike Bonato from Western AF. I think he just reached out to me. I don't remember if it was text or on Instagram, but he was going to be in Nashville, wanted to make a video, and so we did it.
Nice.
Yeah, and became friends, and then we were out. We hung out in Laramie. We made a video out there. You know, it's just kind of been if he's here or if I'm there or something. You know, just kind of when it makes sense.
It's cool that there's so many people in this community that just do cool shit. I mean, whether it's there's just so many folks that are doing similar things, but everyone kind of puts their own spin on it. So that's awesome that everyone kind of, find it's the same thing with like Moe's and like the parking situation. We were kind of half talking about it. It's like, it's cool that like people come together for things like that, like especially, Nashville's, it can seem like a big place, but it's so tiny. It really is. Like it seems like people kind of all know what's going on here and can help each other out, which is awesome. Yeah. But so what, you recently got back from a run of shows, right? Am I crazy in saying that?
Yeah, I've done 2 runs already this year, which
tell me about those.
Is great because I'm not losing my mind in the winter like I have in the last few years. I feel like I go really hard summer and fall, and then I need this huge break. But then after like a month in the winter, I'm going crazy. But so we went out to the West Coast, out west and the West Coast, and back around January and into January and February, and then we also just went out to Texas for kind of like South by parties, and we went to Luck, just attending.
Luck's so fun. I've been there. My grandma and I'm lucky. My
to Luck with your grandma?
No, so I'm so lucky. My parents and my grandparents are very young.
Okay.
We have them young. We have them young in my family, and so for years, my grandma and I have gone to Newport for the folk festival. Like that's kind of like our yearly thing we do. And then a few years ago, probably a handful of years ago now, we randomly got tickets to Luck. We were like, let's try it and see. And we did that instead of Newport. And we've done that the last few years. It's been really fucking fun. It's a ball.
Cool.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, it's a fun time.
I've never been.
But it is. It's a fun time. And they have some great acts. And I've only ever been as a spectator. But, it's a little bit, as a spectator, it can be a little bit much. And Luck's it's more chill. It's a little more laid back.
Yeah, you're just kind of like walking around in the dirt.
Exactly. Plus, they just give out Topo Chico the whole time. Yeah. You're like, you're set. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Who were you doing those runs with? Was it the same kind of groups throughout, or were you just meeting up with different acts? Like, how did you?
Yeah. Well, that first run out west, me and Mose did all the shows together with the band. We brought a bass player with us. And then most of those, we were I think we were headlining all those shows. We had a cool two-date anchor date for a cowboy poetry gathering, kind of like the after party through this other group called Outside Circle in Elko, Nevada. So we were up in northern Nevada in the winter, like up through the Rockies up that way. And
That's amazing.
It was really cool. It was really windy, but it was really cool. Kind of just like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a country singer. I'm not a cowboy.
Yeah.
Those worlds, like people a lot of times like think I'm a cowgirl, and I'm like, I've ridden a horse about 6 times in my life.
Dress up, So
it was just like this whole different world, and like all these cowboys, you know.
Well, that's amazing. That sounds awesome.
So that was cool. But we did. I think we mostly did headlining shows that run. We did play a show with Kimmy Bitter and Gray Delisle in LA. It was really fun. But it was. Me and Mose kind of doing both of our songs as a part of the same show.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then in Texas, we played together and separately. We had we brought the same bass player with us, and we've got a really awesome drummer out in Austin, Chris Schoen.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris, who we love playing with when we go to Austin. And so we had a full band for all those shows.
Killer.
Yeah.
What generally it seems to me that you tend to play with a full band. Do you ever play just solo acoustic, or
sometimes like earlier today?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I was gonna say, because it's funny because like watching you play earlier, I was thinking like the vast majority, unless it's just us like hanging out at like one of our houses,
at a jam or something. Yeah,
like the vast majority of times, if not all of the times I can think of going to see you play, you always play with the band, which sounds fucking great. I mean, I love those songs, the way that you arrange them. But so many of your songs sound beautiful, just you and a guitar. Have you ever thought about like, fuck it, I'll just do kind of a run with that as the sort of arrangement?
Well, I have done that some. Like if I get like opening dates, like I did a whole tour with Kelsey Waldon where it was just me by myself the whole time. I am probably about to do that again this May with another artist. It's more, I do that more when I'm opening, I guess, like so when I'm support for other artists. And I think that financially it makes more sense that way. So yeah, I will do that. It's just like, I don't know. It depends on, where I'm at with my songs. Like with this latest record, I think a lot more of them can and do lend themselves to more of kind of that songwriter vibe where it's just me and a guitar. Some of the songs, though, even on the new record, like Honky Tonkin' for Life, I did, I played that today for this podcast. But it's like a lot of these songs, these honky tonk songs, these country songs, like I write with a band in groove. Mind.
Yeah, you
like
need that groove
it's
sometimes.
like they're more fun, and that's what I love doing is playing music in a country band. Like I love singing and playing rhythm in a country band. I do that because that's what I like to do.
When was the first time in your life that you started to play music with other people? Like, can you remember like the first time you actually did that?
It wasn't that long ago. I was living in Asheville, North Carolina. I had just moved back I had been living out west for a long time. And I had kind of like left my whole life behind. I had turned 30. I was like, I've never even had a band. I've never I had hardly performed. I hadn't really performed like at all.
Oh, wow.
I was like a fireside singer, I would call it. Yeah. And so, I was like, I left my boyfriend. I left the land that we bought.
There it is right there. Yeah, that's how it happens for all of us.
I was kind of starting over. It was like me, Loretta, my dog, and the guitar. And we went all the way to Nashville.
I love Loretta so much.
Yeah.
I love Loretta.
And it was then, I started doing open mics. So I was just doing it by myself. And then I met this guy, Chicken Coop Willie, and he played a chicken coop. He played percussion, on this old timey chicken transporter. So it's like a box made of wooden slats and rings, and he just does all this percussion on it. And he started hiring me for his gigs. And so I started playing with him, and then we had a fiddle. So it was usually a trio. So it was kind of a crazy mix, and he would call it a jug band.
Right.
And
so
I'm like,
interesting choice of instrument.
We're not really a jug band.
So the first people that you're playing with is, Chicken Coop Willie. Yes. So that's kind of cool.
Yes. Full circle here. And all that.
No, because I asked because I remember as a young person, I love music. I just as a listener, I adore music, and I've loved creating music as a young person. But I think the thing that got under my skin more than anything, without question, with music was playing with other people. Once you find that magic of oh shit, we can have a conversation here.
Yeah.
Oh my, all bets were off at that point. You know? And
it's
I think,
why do you want to do anything else?
Exactly. And I think that is amazing. And I love that you came to that later. Cause to me, I came to that as a 12-year-old or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But for you,
I was in a youth group band. Actually, I'm leaving that out. I sang harmony. When I was probably 14 or 15 until I was 18. So I had kind of a band experience growing up in church. And we did record an album one time.
Oh,
so
there you go.
There's that. But I wasn't playing guitar. I wasn't writing. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But
I think having that kind of vocal experience too can really be huge for we've had a couple people in here who've had sort of similar. I'm trying to think who we had in relatively recently who was talking about a similar background. I wish I could remember who it was. We already do too many of these things, and I think it's a really, really powerful tool for arranging. I think when you have that mind where you can kind of take a melody and run it through that system in your head, I think that grafts out to a great many things in music beyond just being able to have nice vocal melodies. You know, people who can do that, I think it's a really powerful tool to be able to dictate how you want a song to go. When you're as a band leader, what's kind of your approach when you're dealing with a rhythm section and a lead guitar player, or sometimes a steel player, or you play with Phil a lot too. What's your approach as a band leader? How do you kind of direct the ship or steer the ship?
Well, it depends. Usually Mose and I are working a lot on that together. Mose is really my band leader. I feel like in most, I don't know, I think he would say that he's my band leader. we kind of go back and forth. But yeah, I feel like I work really closely on getting my songs where I want them with Mose, and then we kind of bring it to the band together. I think is how that works out. I think that, because, I mean, Mo's, you know, especially compared to me, I mean, he's been doing this his whole life. He started playing in bands, in bars when he was 15. Mm-hmm. So I've learned a lot from Mo's, and a lot of like language and a lot of how to talk to a band through him, you know. But yeah, there will definitely sometimes be moments where I feel like things aren't happening the way that I want them to, and I'll just try to, you know, communicate that as much as I can, you know. But
yeah, it's a hard thing with music too. I find that there's sort of those two facets to it. There's the skill set of being able to converse with a band while you're up there playing, right? Yeah. So to be able to lock into, like what I was saying, like being able to lock into what's happening in the moment in the music, and be able to kind of steer that with them. And then there's the other half of the equation, which is being able to actually articulate that in some way through language when you're sitting down rehearsing. Like, hey, this is what I want these stops to feel like. This is what I want the drum feel to feel like. Here's where the bass should interplay with that. And those are two, though involved and overlapping things, very different skill sets to learn. And some people get really good at one and not good at the other. Some people are phenomenal at both. So I'm always kind of curious how people navigate that, because I think it's also just sort of a innate thing. You know, I think some people just are better at being able to sit down in a rehearsal and convey to someone, hey, like this is how the song goes. Yeah. This is how I want the arrangement to be. And some people are much better at being able to do that in the moment live with a band. Like for you, where do you feel like your strengths lie?
I think that I've grown a lot playing with the band, and I feel like I'm a pretty decent band leader. Playing with Mo's a lot. I think even just like last night we played at D's, and I remember there was something going on that didn't feel right. I think it was just the tempo. I can just like shoot him a look, and he knows, and I'm singing, so then he'll just like kind of handle whatever's happening, you know. And we played together a lot to where, you know, especially we play with pickup bands on the road sometimes. And so while he's singing or he's running a song, then I can do that, or I make sure the drummer gets the hits that they're coming up, you know, really like that kind of thing.
It's nice where you've played with someone enough to where you can kind of just give them a certain look.
Yeah, we have our own.
Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, we have our own language going on for sure.
That's good.
But then I think too, like, as far as like teaching a band a song, or, you know, kind of starting a song from the ground up with different players. Like, for me, in the experience that I've had, like, we've worked these songs up and then cut them live with a studio band. And that is kind of how I want the song to be. Mm-hmm. And so I have these studio cuts, and then the live band learns it from that mostly.
Gotcha.
And, you know, so there's definitely been times where it's like, you know, go back and listen to that bass line. Like, that's not really what's happening. Like, this is how we want it, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's an interesting world, because I feel like, especially in Nashville, like a lot of people, you're not even necessarily in the studio with your live band. It's always kind of different players, it seems like, a lot of times, where the people that are cutting on the record are different than the people playing on it live.
Yeah, that's something I've never really, it's not really my thing. It's like, I'd rather just go in and play the songs.
Yeah.
You know? And again, I'm also just sort of an extreme personality in that regard. Like, I just want to put a microphone on everything and just record it, and that's that moment. But for you, when you're, as a songwriter, because you're also a great songwriter, when you're actually sitting there kind of putting pen to paper, or, you know, or coming up with a melody, whatnot, how much, and you sort of alluded to this earlier, but how much of that sort of band arrangement is in your mind in that moment, and how much of it is, let me just really get this melody and these lyrics where I need them, and then I can kind of finesse the edges and figure out how I want to how I want the band to interplay.
Yeah, I feel like it is a lot of that, where I kind of have a concept, you know, of what I want the song to be lyrically, you know, or what I'm writing about. And so I try to not think too much about like what the song is going to end up being. So you don't want to force that in some weird way. You know, you want the song to come out naturally. So I feel like, I think that I try to get the song to be a well solidified piece, you know,
sort of separate, and then be able to go in.
And then and then I feel like I just like play it a lot and over and over and over again. And, you know, and I have a thing where I change melodies a lot. Like I will like write a song and then I'll turn it into a whole different song. And I have to be careful not to do that. Like I think I should just maybe write a different song instead of, you know.
But there's something to that, because sometimes, you know, it's vantage points, right? And sometimes the vantage point one first sees isn't necessarily the best, clearest way to the song.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's kind of cool when artists do that too. Like I like when I go see an artist live and I've heard their album a bunch of times, but then I hear them play the song live and there's like a lot of changes that are made. It kind of keeps it fresh rather than hearing the exact same thing.
And I do too.
I like that a lot.
And I like how that's happened with some of the songs, even just like in small ways. Like you cut it with a studio band, then my live band learns it. We start playing it, or even just me and Mose are playing as a duo a lot on the road, and then it kind of evolves in its own way. And it's like, actually on this section, this is what we do now, you know? And like, I love that happens really naturally, because I think for me, like my favorite things about music are I love songwriting and I love playing music live. Like I like performing to an audience. I like playing with people. And so that's like really where I get my kicks and all of this, you know? And so the songs really do come to life over time as you perform them more and more and more, and you get to know the song and it becomes its own thing separate from the studio version.
Yeah,
you know?
It's interesting. Like, so for me, I've done 3 records, and then I've done the last, oh my God, time fucking flies. The last 5 years, because the last record came out in 2020. Wow. Last 5 years, I've just been putting out singles.
It's been 5 years.
I know. Oh my God.
Dude, it doesn't even seem
time flies. But the first two records I did, one of the things that I think was really great about doing the process that just sort of happened naturally was both of those records, I'd been playing those songs for a while. You know, they say that you have your first life to write the first album, which is, you know, kind of half true if you do it that way. But, you know, those songs were songs that we'd played for a long while. The second record, I remember we came back from a tour, if I remember. I'm trying to think how all that happened. But we both of those records were records that we had been playing for a while. And then you just get into a studio and the songs are where the songs are at, and you can capture that moment, and then the songs are going to keep evolving. Yeah. Whereas the last one that I did, which I really love that record, but it was different. The songs were newer, and you went in, and it was kind of fun to sort of feel the other side of that, and it was fun to see, like, oh, this is kind of discovering the songs.
What can we come up with now? Like, how do we feel now?
Yeah, exactly.
About
And
this?
that was, and so I think like anything, there's probably a balance in there somewhere of being able to find what works for you in that moment with the songs. Like as a performer, was, you know, short of going in and recording as a kid, like you were talking about, was doing Hardliner. Was that the first time you were actually in the studio in that way?
Yeah, I had done some demos in a studio with an Nashville band while I was there. I was in Nashville for about 6 months. And so that was like, I think, a kind of a 2-day experience cutting some demos in the studio. Yeah.
Wait, what year did you get out here again?
It was basically New Year's 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
My chronology of events the last 7 years or whatever it's been, Ryan, is so bad. Like, it is. The fact that 2020 was 5 years ago is fucking insane.
I feel like COVID threw everyone into like a time warp or something.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
The
whole section was just a blur.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of wild to think that, like, you know, because we moved here in 2018, and it's kind of wild to think, oh, like that wasn't very long before all of that, you know, went down. So time is funky. Okay, so when you did go in to do that record, what was your experience? What was your experience like doing that first album? Like, how did you deal with it? What was your sort of, how was the reality versus expectation? How did all that go?
I don't know. I don't know what expectations I had, because like I haven't recorded a record. We did it at Mark Thornton's, the majority of it.
We've had Mark on, the legend.
Yes,
love that man.
Love Mark.
Good guy.
So we were there, I can't remember how many days. But yeah, I had just people, I had players in that I had been playing with live, like Mose was on it, Jeff Henderson was on it, Neil Jones, people that I had been playing around town with. We cut, I think it was 11 songs. But then once again, I felt like I didn't really know. I felt really nervous, I guess. It was hard for me to have fun. I didn't really, I was just cutting a record. I don't know. I didn't really, I didn't have any previous experience doing it. And I was just hoping that it turned out well, and then the pandemic hit. So we actually, me, Mose, and Chris Weisbecker, sat at his house and kind of reworked the whole thing after that. So it was almost like we had two different things happening with recording, because we redid stuff or we added stuff.
That's kind of beautiful.
We reworked it for a long time.
That's really kind of beautiful that you got the chance to be able to find whatever that balance was for that thing.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like my baby. So I was just I don't know if nitpicking is the right word, but a little bit. Now, after cutting the second record, it was a completely different experience, and it felt a little more seamless. It flowed, and it wasn't this. There was a real energy just flowing through and getting each song done, and whereas the other one just felt very split up over time.
Yeah,
and the project just felt long, and so I definitely liked cutting the second record more, and I think I learned a lot that first time about how to cut a record and what
you
not
don't
to do.
Yeah.
And I think I definitely had more of an idea of what I wanted from each song when we went in for the second record, and I think that helped. It was just a big learning experience the first time you cut a record.
Oh yeah, you have no idea.
I really just it's hard to even talk about, because I'm I don't know what I was doing, And I was leaning a lot on Mark, on Chris, on Mose, It was hilarious. And we were just figuring it out together. I guess we're does this sounds good? This is what we want. Yeah, try this.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad. I think when everything is kind of a easy, smooth flowing process too, I think that does come out in the music as well.
For sure.
A lot of it's also just sort of stubborn pigheadedness work sometimes. I remember the first record that we did in this awesome studio in Boston, and I remember I was I just want to get everyone in the room and record the album. And the producer who owned the studio, super, super awesome guy, really sweet guy, did a phenomenal job mixing it too. I remember at first we were setting up, okay, we're going to have me in an isolation booth doing the vocals and guitar, and then we'll have everyone. I'm no, let's just put everyone in the room. And it was just this sort of constant. At first it was is this going to be a locking of heads?
That can be tricky, yeah.
And then within 5 seconds, both of us were okay, I know how we're going to do this. Okay, let's just, it's going to be that kind of record. You know? And I think half of the battle with anything like that is just sort of getting on the same wavelength with that of being, okay, this is the kind of record, we're not making a contemporary sounding, really clean record, right? That's just not what we're going to do.
You definitely need to know what you want as far as that goes. And I felt a big thing for me was this second record. I just definitely was okay, Mose is going to produce this record. My first record didn't really have a producer. It was kind of me and Mose and Chris and
having that sort of clear vision of this.
That is his title for this record. So we, especially in the beginning, we worked to get the songs to where I wanted them to be together. And then kind of after that, I was pretty just hands off.
Nice.
And I think, honestly, I think that all of that worked out really well. And I'm really glad that I just kind of let Mose do his thing for the most part. There was one day when I wasn't there that I think some things would be different if I was there.
Oh, spicy.
But I'm not going to go into that. But I, that just is what it is. And I feel I understand as a project, more of kind of what an album is in my own mind now, that it's it doesn't not everything is perfect. Not everything is exactly like, that's such a finite concept of like what a record is. And I feel like I just think about an album as a project way differently now. So
yeah, a lot of it's also just your perspective
it's
on
just,
things.
yeah,
How you do it. When you were doing that, when you were doing the new record or the first record as well, did you have particular albums in mind as to what you kind of wanted that soundscape to be? Did you have records that you thought, oh, I like this element of this record, or I like this element of this record? Was there anything like that in your mind that you kind of use as something a sounding board to contrast?
My first record, I really wanted it to sound old, which is kind of general, but I don't think that it sounded that way. But really more for my second record, sound-wise, I was really leaning toward, like, especially with harmonies. I mean, singing is my thing. So there's some Emmylou Harris records that I was really fond of, like the harmonies. Roses in the Snow is one of them. It's actually like kind of her bluegrass record. Mose was doing some research and he realized like her husband at the time, I think they're not married anymore, but he was her producer even after they broke up for like almost like so many of her records. And
good dick. No.
Yeah. So I love the way that he does her vocals. So that was something that I had in mind. A lot was more just vocals for me personally.
That's great. And it's hard because you, at least where my mind goes for that kind of thing is, there's sort of bits and pieces of things that you think, oh, I like the way that it can be very abstract and very difficult to articulate because a lot of it's just, I like the way that this particular thing sits, or I like the way that this particular sound meshes with that. Yeah. So much of the production of music, I think, can be very, very, difficult to articulate with language.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you can, it's almost more, it sounds sort of hippy-dippy to say it this way, but it's almost more something you can feel. It's very, very difficult to be able to pinpoint with language what's going on. And people who can do that, I think that is such an amazing skill that is not there for me in the way that I would like it to be. But I think you can kind of find the general...
working with a good producer or a good engineer, that really operate in that field. And
what I found is really useful is like I would just go, because I've produced all of my records, but the engineer or the musicians, I'd be like, hey, here are some records that I think, I'm not telling you like what I want the guitar parts to be. Here are some records that I think kind of fit in the sound of what we're going for. Something as simple as that can make a world of difference because then everyone's kind of on the same page. And I get what the sort of general shape of the thing is going to be as opposed to just like, oh, I want it to sound like, whatever. Yeah. There you go. Well, it's tricky. I mean, it's a bit of a mystery to do it, but it's fun. Like I think part of it's so different recording a record versus playing live for a lot of people. And to me, I think my battle is constantly just making those the same thing by just pure force of will, just making the same thing. What, as a songwriter, to kind of pivot to the songwriting side of things, who are some songwriters that you, if you had to have your sort of Mount Rushmore of your songwriters, who are at least, I'm sure driving home, you're going to be thinking, God damn it, why did I name this person? But who are some people that you think are the big influences in your life?
Yeah. I would say Lucinda Williams, Gillian Welch, Rodney Crowell, Billy Joe Shaver.
It's a good list right there.
That's probably my top 4 there. Yeah.
Of those people, all phenomenal songwriters, what do you find, if there are any, are the through lines between those songwriters?
They're so different. I feel like I definitely see some through lines with Rodney and Lucinda in that they both are really good at capturing like a feeling or capturing an experience in like a really simple way, like just the way that it's like there's not that much poetry in their writing. It's a kind of like this simply stated thing, and it may appear, I think, to maybe people that aren't songwriters that would just be, that's like just some simple writing, or that's not hard to do. But it's like when you try to do that, it's really hard. And to be able to capture something in so little words that like kind of drops a bomb of emotion on you is huge as a songwriter. And I think that's a really developed skill. And I don't think a lot of people can do it. But
yeah, simplicity is always harder than it sounds, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I don't know. I mean, I think Gillian Welch is just like a living legend of a songwriter. I mean, all these people are to me, but I think that she's really kind of carrying a torch, you know, like in country and Americana music. I think that she, and Billy Joe, like his writing to me is different. I feel like in a lot, to the other writers that I mentioned, in that I've always felt like he has so much comedy in his writing.
I love Billy Joe.
Yeah, like he has the heartbreak, he has the drinking, he has all, you know, these like kind of cornerstones of country music writing that we all talk about or we hear about in these songs. He has the heartbreak, you know, but he also is really funny and has a lot of satire in his writing.
I always find if I can think of anything to pinpoint with him, it's that his characters, whoever is vocalizing that story, is always incredibly real. Yeah. That is incredibly difficult to do in songwriting. It's incredibly difficult to do in any form of fiction, where to be able to convince an audience, a reader, a viewer, a listener, whoever that is, that the person the person stating or performing these things is real is so hard to do. Yeah. And he is scary good at that.
Genius.
He's scary good at that. Yeah. And anyone who can do that.
And I kind of can picture them all being him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. and that is one of the things I think is so great about his writing is those things are kind of happening simultaneously, at least in my mind when I listen to. This might seem like an out of left field question, but I'm just curious. What are there particular lyrics in any songs you can think of? And again, this might be a question that comes to you in the car ride home. But are there any particular lyrics that you're in awe of, that you think, God damn it, that's a good line? Because there's so many. I think art is a collection of those moments. You know, like the greatest art is just an amalgamation of those little moments. Yeah. But there are moments in songwriting, I think, where you hear that and you think it's almost as though it pivots your perception of just the world around you, where you think, oh, like that's what that is. Is somebody found a way succinctly, concisely to express something that I couldn't even really quite put my finger on. Like, are there particular lyrics like that you adore?
I don't know. Like nothing is coming, to mind, like in that specific way. I mean, there's definitely like songs, that come to mind, but I mean, I don't know. Do you have that? I mean, I would have to just think on that for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've never. I'm sure I've thought about it. Yeah, there are certainly particular lyrics where, when I hear them, I think, God, that's a. It's not, and it's not. I think this is something that happens in art in general. Some people hear things like that and they think, God, I wish I would have written that. Yeah. And it's never that for me. It's always. Oh, it ups the ante. It feels like, where you feel like, oh shit, you can do that in this form. Yeah. It's almost like a shock to the system. You think, oh shit, like I can, let me collect myself here, because there's nothing like a good line. Yeah. I mean, even in a great song, the best lines stand out. Yeah.
You got a favorite line of all time or what?
Of all time? That's impossible, dude. That's impossible.
You had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I don't know. That's incredibly hard.
Something in the top 5?
Something in the top 5.
I feel like this is like a week-long journey here.
This is something you can meditate on forever. Yeah,
for a while. Like,
there are so many songwriters that I love. My top songwriters, if I just had to think of those for whom are the greatest in my mind, would be Gordon Lightfoot, Randy Newman, Lou Reed. I think Tom Petty honestly might be up there. I know it's a crazy thing to say, but I think Tom Petty might be up there. No, but I think I'm trying to think of something that sort of elicits what I'm talking about.
There is a line in a Lucinda Williams song that I've referenced before, and I feel like it's maybe not like my favorite line of all time, but it's definitely a line that like impacted me, and that I've like quoted to other people before. Where there's a song, it's called the song Maria on Happy Woman Blues, which is her first original record, and the character is named Maria, and she's like a traveling musician woman, and she's talking about heartbreak, and then one of the lines is, are the songs we sing worth a broken heart? It goes on, and then it says, after, it doesn't matter where we go, all the cities start to look the same. Mm-hmm. And that I found that record at a time where I was like in a rambling phase of just kind of like working, saving money, quitting my job, and then kind of like wandering around doing different things and in kind of like a restless spirit. And so when I heard that line, it's like, you can't run, you can't run from your pain. You can't just like keep moving to avoid feeling. Mm-hmm. And so that line has always really stuck with me, because I was like, okay, like literally taking off somewhere in my car by myself, like just going down some dirt road, and like Lucinda's just like, hitting me in the face with this. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know where I'm going. Maybe I should go back home, But like lines like that, like that is definitely a line that comes, just hit me personally. I don't know, I mean, yes, and from a songwriting standpoint, I think it's a great line. And I don't think I did a great job of quoting the whole verse to you there, but it is a profound, kind of statement that sums up a lot of my 20s, in my life. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of it can just depend on like where you're currently
at
in your life at that moment too. Yeah. Like a certain thing can just be like exactly profound. The type of shit that you're dealing with at the moment, and you're like, oh, yeah, it'll hit you.
Hit you like a ton of bricks.
There's some good songwriters out there.
Yeah.
What? I think it's incredibly difficult to sort of quantify your own writing in this way and to dissect your own writing in this way. But are there particular songs that you've written that you feel most proud of?
Yeah, I got this question not too long ago, and I'll give the same answer, which is Tennessee Songbird. One of the songs is the title track on my latest record, and I played it here today. And it is kind of like a personal thing for, what I was going through when I was writing it. But I had a conversation with a friend, who I got really into bird watching, and, we were on the phone, and she was just talking a lot about birds. And so I was asking her, like, why do we know why birds sing? Like aside from like obviously mating calls or communication and whatnot. And she was saying that actually, that we think that birds just really enjoy singing, and it's almost like this declaration of life, especially in the morning, which is the majority of the time when they sing. Like they made it another night in the wild, and they're just like singing out of exuberance and joy and celebration, and and it's just for them. It's not. No one's necessarily listening. They're just, it's like a bird just sitting there singing. And so that just kind of stuck with me. And I, coming out of the pandemic, it was like, what's even happening with the music industry? Like, I felt really kind of lost as an artist. Like, I'd released one record, and then, it just felt kind of crazy. And then I had finally started touring on that record, and had a great year. I think it was, 2022. I had a great year on the road, or a great 6 months on the road, kind of on and off, and felt like reinvigorated, and felt like this kind of like commitment thing happening to like, let's do another record. Like I felt really ready to write. I felt really ready to like, you know, as an artist, like you have to put yourself out there. Like you have to like have something available to like give, to like lay on the line for everyone to see or listen to. And it takes a lot of like emotional and mental energy. And that's why, like, coming out of the pandemic, I was like, do I have that still, you know? And so in writing this record, it was, that's a lot of what Tennessee Songbird is about. So, you know, the Songbird sings whether anyone's listening or not. You know, this song turned into a song about my relationship just to who I am as an artist, as someone who, you know, like I hope people are listening, but I'm going to be singing. Like, this is what I need to do. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be singing, whether people are paying attention or listening or not. It's a little bit about the music industry and, you know, how I feel about it. And, so that's the last line in the song is, you know, the songbirds sing whether we listen or not. So
I like that.
Yeah, I'm sure we all relate to the songbird a little bit.
This is something I've asked other songwriters before, but it's just something I'm intrigued by. When you're writing, how much of the audience is in the equation, if any?
I try for them not to be. I try as a songwriter to have, like, there's something I want to write about, and then I try to write about that the best way that I can.
And I think this is something that is constantly changing for songwriters. Most very competent songwriters that I know intentionally mix this up because I think it's sort of, you can pigeonhole yourself otherwise. What do you find are your most common ways of kickstarting a song? When you sit down and it's time to, okay, I'm writing a song right now, how do you find you most frequently go to that? Get in that
place. Yeah. It's a lot about headspace for me. And it needs to be, I like to write alone and at home, and I don't like to write on the road that much. Sometimes ideas will come and I'll like do a voice memo or something like that. But I have this thing about like hard brain and soft brain where, like, as someone that has to do like a lot of my own booking, and I do, you know, you have to do social media and you got to do all this stuff you don't want to do. I feel like that kind of stuff, like, I just get like really caffeinated and jacked, and it's like, and so then like when I'm gonna
power through,
then when I'm actually gonna like do art or songwrite,
you gotta
it's
like switch
literally
brains.
a transition, and I often can't do them in the same day. It's like or I found actually like reading a book for 30 minutes will like get me into like a different headspace completely.
That's a good idea.
It really helps. Yeah. It really, really helps. And so I've done that just when I'm like, I really want to work on writing, but I don't feel like it because I feel like crap because I've been on the computer for 4 hours or whatever. So, I try to like literally just go into soft brain and kind of like let the, you know, I don't know, like let the energy flow, like let the juices flow.
Outside of music, what are the largest creative influences on your life? Whether it be different novels, paintings, films, whatever it might be. What are those things that kind of inspire you?
I feel like it's more everyday things for me. I like right now I'm finding like a lot of inspiration like sitting in my backyard. Like I like being outside. So like nature, there's a lot of nature themes I feel like in my writing. So you know, lately, like I've started a song the other day, like I was sitting in the backyard and I felt like it kind of inspired these two. One was kind of like a love song and this other was more like, I've been feeling, I don't know, I've been struggling the last couple of weeks because I've been sick and I didn't feel good. But I've also been feeling like really lucky lately and blessed. Because I feel like, especially in today's world, it's a big privilege to like play music for a career and follow my dreams, you know, and like not many people get to do that. And like the state of the world, you know, I don't know. It's like a lot of people are just like living through war right now. So I've been thinking a lot about that. And
good thing to meditate on. Yeah.
We got it pretty good over here.
I am so fucking lucky. Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, it's like more just things that I think about. I don't know. yeah, I don't know. Mose is like a big film guy, you know, and he's always like trying to talk to me about movies.
We were talking about,
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
whole...
what actor? I'm like, I literally am so bad at like pop culture stuff.
Mose
like,
is welcome on any time because I need someone to, you know, shit talk movies
Please
with. So,
talk to him about it because I don't want to. Yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't think I'm inspired by movies.
Outside of music, sort of creatively, do you find that there are other ways that your creativity manifests in life outside of music? Yeah,
I think that I love doing like another direction that I can maybe go in like my artistic life is like making music videos. Mm-hmm. Like I love kind of like set design kind of things. Like I love making music videos. Like if I had all the free time in the world, I would just love to help my friends make music videos all the time and come up with ideas and write scripts. And like, I love doing that kind of thing. And I love, I feel like at home, like I've kind of, it's starting to come out like in having a stable home life where I lived my 20s like a lot, like off grid, no electricity. I was outside, on farms, just like, you know, being poor, but like, you know, kind of just like also not working that much, like kind of, you know, by choice where I'm like, or I'm working like seasonal jobs, you know, where I felt really restless and I didn't have music in my life the way I do now. So I was very like searching for a long time. So I was always just like, what am I doing? And trying to figure it out and not having a lot of money. And now, not that I'm rolling in the dough or anything, but like I'm making like this, like a comfortable home life for myself and stability. And I'm still on the road a lot, which is great because I want both. So I'm like, I feel like coming out where I'm just like taking care of my chickens and I'm like, you know, doing things with Loretta and, you know, working on like crafting projects at home, you know, where I get to, you know, just kind of like relax and unwind and, you know, do whatever I want to do. And that feels, it feels kind of like a creative outlet where it's just kind of for fun and for me. It's not really for anybody else, you know? So,
yeah, you definitely need those kind of almost pointless things that you just do for yourself for no reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that helps keep the creativity alive for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially like when a lot of the music that I do is for other people, you know, it's for me too, but it's like, it changes when you are doing it professionally and it feels like, you know, you've got to create, you've got to make this content and you have to, you know, that kind of thing. It kind of takes away, it takes it away from you a little bit, which there was a stint where I got trained to be a teacher in yoga, and I did that for like a few months, and I was like, wait, no, I don't want to teach yoga. I just want to do yoga. It's kind of like that, where it kind of like ruined it for me. I was like, wait, this is what I want to do.
As a creative person, what are the moments in your life that you've found, looking back, were the most fulfilling moments for creating music? Was it particular shows? Was it releasing a particular album? Was it booking a particular gig that you were like, what are the moments when you think back that you feel music has brought you the most sense of joy in life?
Yeah. I would say that's definitely not releasing records. I think that's really like
yes, you and me both.
Anxiety-driven time.
I don't know, some people are psychotic. I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't really enjoy that much. But yeah, definitely live moments. Live moments with the band where I'm like, I'm feeling it. I feel like the crowd's feeling it. Like, you know, there's like that thing happening between you and an audience, and like that is incredible. And there's no other feeling like that. I think that also happens sometimes too when I'm just like by myself writing, you know. And there's some songs I write so many like little songs, you know. I have like so many songs going that's like, I don't know if these will ever turn into anything, but like I'm really having a lot of fun by myself writing these little songs that may or may not turn into anything. And that to me is also really important and essential. central to this game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, music's a hard thing because I think anyone who spends their life doing something creative, on one hand, you just have to feel incredibly grateful that you even have that thing in your life that you can allot that time and love to. And yet at the same time, it's like anything else. It's not that you necessarily get burnt out from it, but it just, if you don't treat it in the right manner, it can become it can feel like a crutch. It can feel like something that you have to lean on because you have to lean on it. Mm-hmm. And I do think that there is a skill in and of itself to be able to find that balance in life and find that and maintain that love for it and maintain that excitement for it. I mean, all of the creative people, whatever realm that they happen to work in, that I look up to the most, if there is any through line I can think of, it's that they have all found a way of keeping that fire lit somehow.
Yeah.
It's tough
and it's very hard, but the people who I think are the creative people that I think are in a sort of a league of their own have all been able to do that. They've all been able to approach whatever creative problem they're trying to solve in a different manner every time, and understand that, okay, this is not the same puzzle I was trying to solve yesterday, and it's not going to be the same puzzle I'm trying to solve tomorrow, but I just need to keep this fire going, and I need to find other ways of exploring, and it is this beautiful sense of exploration. I think the best art
it's a journey
is the best art is it sounds sort of cliche, but the best art is a journey. It is about trying to maintain that love for the thing, and that can manifest in a great many ways, but it's hard. It's hard when that becomes like how you're paying the fucking electric bill. You know what I mean? Like,
if you lose that, it's a hard thing to
get back
force
to.
You.
Yeah.
You can't like force yourself to love this thing again. You know what I mean? So it's like, but it is also what you have to do. So it's this weird thing where like you can't force it, but you still got to find a way to like get there again. And it's a lot of it's. I haven't totally figured that out yet.
It's hard.
A lot of it's almost like compartmentalizing, like what you were talking about earlier with I think I feel much the same way. You have to be able to segregate in your mind. Okay, this is me, the putting on my get shit done, send emails hat, and here's me putting on my I'm gonna create something. Here's my creative hat that I have to throw on, and that's it's skill sets all the way down, and just being able to do that, I think that's a life's work of honing in and of itself. And some people, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation. So much of it is also determined by what is innate in you as a person. I think those are definitely skills that can be trained, and those are skills that you can get better at. But you also are dealt a certain hand of cards as a person, so you kind of have to. It's that balancing act of, okay, well, I'm much better at putting on this hat than this hat. So like, how am I going to make that work? And I think with music, and this might sound a little bit. Might be a bit of a silly claim, but I think so many people in any creative field are good at putting the creative hat on, just sort of by definition, right? That's why we get into it. The people who succeed tend to be, and not always, but more often than not, the people who learn the skill set to be able to take that hat off and put another hat on.
Yeah.
And it can seem counterintuitive when you're doing it, because you're thinking, well, I want to spend as much time as I can with that other fucking hat on. That's why I'm doing this in the first place. And it's about, I think, finding that balance of learning those other skills while maintaining the former, and it's
staying sane through the whole thing.
Staying sane and not like losing your fucking mind. While you're, like, and that's the hard part. Yeah, like when I was saying that earlier to you, like it wasn't just me blowing smoke up your ass. Like I think you're you're an inspiration to me, because you're constantly doing shit.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that. Like it's hard to not just be very, very competent at the thing you want to do, but also like bust your ass to like make it work. You know, like that's not an easy thing to get done. And I think that like people who can do that, it's like, fuck yeah, we need more people like that in the world. It's a cool, it's a cool thing.
Cool. I'm glad you see it that way. It's encouraging to me. Okay, I'll keep going.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So there you go. So like what, at this point for you, what's next on the horizon? What do you have any grand plans at the moment, or are you just kind of continuing with what you're doing? What's on the agenda? I'm starting to think about record 3. Oh, exciting.
Nice. So I'm writing. Mose and I are actually the very next thing, or Mose and I are finally cutting some duo music, like some songs.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, like we're gonna cut one of his songs, Louisiana Two-Step, that we've done a million times. We're gonna actually cut that as a duet. We're cutting, I'm pretty sure that, we're going to cut a George and Tammy duet.
There we go.
And then there's also an original song that we're going to cut. So we're going to do that just because we tour together so much and we sing and play together so much. We're like, let's
that'll be great to have
a recording.
That.
But he's releasing a record. I'm helping him book an album release tour right now. I'm booking for myself and for him. And I'm going to be, I think I'm going to cut another record this year.
Love it. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff. And
I'm going to release another song, actually. I have an original song.
Oh, yeah. Give us the scoop. Let's hear.
So it's called Tears and Tequila. And this is a song I wrote like a long time ago. I think I started writing the song in 2021. And it definitely was a song that I sat with, and then I kind of rewrote it. And then I cut it in 2022, I think, and then just haven't done anything with it yet. Mm-hmm. I was like, I do have the song, and I've been listening to it, and I'm like, I like it. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna release it, and then I also have a Dolly Parton cover to release as well.
You got all kinds of shit on the. I love it. Yeah, there we go. All right, that's killer. That's super exciting. I gotta say, I'm so happy that you came out and did this.
Yeah,
this was awesome.
Me.
Hell yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to hear the songs once they're finished too, because I think they're gonna look and sound awesome. Okay, so cool. That'll be killer. But fuck yeah, thanks for doing this, dude.
Thanks.
This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Hell yeah,
thanks,
nice. Mission accomplished, guys. There we go. Awesome.
That was fun.
That's killer. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah. What's the podcast called again?